Today we are going to talk about the EcoFlow Delta 2, the settings in the app, and how to add a solar panel. I purchased my Delta 2 back in September 2023 to power all the things that I needed while I am living van life and traveling the country. I feel like it's the perfect size. I'm not always having to recharge, and it powers everything that I need to. First, I want to go through all of the outlets that are available on the Delta 2. All right, so first let's look at the front of the Delta 2. First, you have your display screen that's going to show you the number of hours left on the amount of charge you have, your power percentage, so on this picture it's 100%, and then your input and output watts. Down below that, you have a light that will illuminate if it is pairing via Bluetooth. And then you have two USB-A ports, two USB-A fast charge ports, two USB-C ports, and then your on-off for that panel. And then down below that, your on-off switch for the entire unit. Let's look at the back. At the back, you have a little door that opens at the top, and under there, you will find the plug for the solar or car input, and then the middle has the cord that attaches to be able to charge it from a wall outlet, and then the third area is an overload protection, kind of like a circuit breaker. Below that, you have two 110 outlets that are 3-prong, and then 4 of just the 2-prong outlets, and then the on-off switch for that section. Down at the bottom, you have your 12-volt charging port, and then there are two 3-amp plugs that are kind of like a stereo input for like headphones, and finally the on-off switch for that area. EcoFlow has an app that tells you the information regarding your battery as well as changing some settings. So I have my Delta 2 connected to the EcoFlow app, and you can see here I have 65% of the battery charged. If I click on that battery, it's going to go in and give me more detail. So right now I'm solar charging my EcoFlow, and you can see that here showing that I'm pulling in 97 watts from my solar panel, and that's the only input that I have. If I had it connected to a wall outlet, it would show here, and it shows another panel if you have it connected to your car cigarette lighter, your 12 volt, because it will charge while you're driving. So this is telling me again 65% of my battery, and it tells me the remaining charging time at that particular wattage. If I go to the output, this is telling me the 3 different sections of outlets. So here is the 110 regular plug-in outlets. This is the 12 volt, and this is the USB section. So each of those areas turn on and off independent of each other. And my 12 volt is always on because that's powering my refrigerator. And you probably saw that kick on when at first it had 0 output, but now it's showing that my refrigerator kicked on and it's using power. This AC one I leave off unless I am actively using those outlets. If I were to leave that on, even with nothing plugged in, it would gradually drain my battery. And then my USBs, I do have that one on. I don't have anything charging right now, but that one doesn't seem to affect the longevity of my charge if that is always on. Okay, so that's the main screen. And then we're going to go into settings. And you can rename your Delta 2 if you had multiple units and wanted to have them named separately. You can turn off the beep if you don't like that. And then we have an input section. The AC charge speed, this is the how fast it will charge when you have it plugged into an outlet. So the fastest it will charge is at 1200 watt, and that's going to charge your battery to 80% in 50 minutes. Now you can change this by just using this little slider, and it will change the amount of watts that it is pulling from that outlet. The only time I've used that is when I was plugged into my parents' RV, and I didn't want them to have any problems with their with what they were powering at the same time, so I did lower that. Okay, and then we have car input. So this is when you're charging from your 12 volt outlet in your vehicle. And I had this set at 8 amp. I think that was the default setting when I received the Delta 2. And when I was charging at 8 amp, I felt like the cord was getting extremely hot. And so I changed that to 6 amp. And that has been great. It hasn't overheated or anything. The cord remains just a regular temperature. I'm going to go to the battery area, the charge and discharge limit. This is something I wish that I knew from the beginning when I first got my battery, because I was charging it to 100% and letting the battery run completely down to 0. That is not good for the longevity of your battery. When you let it charge to 100%, those last 10% of the charge, it makes the internal components of the Delta 2 extremely hot. And same with the discharge limit. You can let it run out all the way, but when it's charging to 1%, 2%, 3%, it's having to heat everything up to where it's limiting the lifetime of your battery. I found conflicting information about how you should have this set, but what I chose from the research I did was I have my charge limit at 90%. So however I'm charging, whether it be through a wall plug, through my car, or through solar, it's going to automatically stop charging at 90%. And then the discharge limit I have set to 9%. So my battery will automatically turn off at 9%. Even though I have additional charge, I don't want it to get below that 9%. Okay, and then we have auto timeouts. You can time out your device so that it automatically turns off after a certain number of hours. I don't think this one is affected by, my setting is affected because I have this 12 volt timeout set to never. So even though I have that set to 2 hours, it really doesn't change anything. This LCD timeout, you can have that set. That's the display on the Delta 2. This AC timeout, this is for your 110 volt plugs, and this I have set to time out after 30 minutes. Generally, I don't use anything for longer than 30 minutes that I have plugged in, but I had this set to another setting, and I had used an outlet and then forgot to turn off the AC section, and I noticed the next morning that my battery was drained. So I set this to 30 minutes. That way, if I forget to turn it off, it's going to automatically turn off after 30 minutes. And if I need something longer than 30 minutes, I just need to remember to turn it back on or to adjust this setting. And the 12 volt DC timeout. So this is, again, the cigarette lighter plug. This is how I power my refrigerator. And my refrigerator has the option to be a regular cord with 110 or a 12 volt. And I choose to use the 12 volt because a 12 volt outlet will pull less energy than a 110 volt. So this, I am optimizing my battery by using that 12 volt plug for my refrigerator. And I have that set to never time out. When I first got my Delta 2, my refrigerator was turning off randomly, and I wasn't sure why that was happening and didn't know about this setting. And what was happening was I had it set, I don't know what it was set to, maybe 6 hours. And after 6 hours, my refrigerator would just automatically turn off. And it was because of this setting. So I had it have it set now to never, so that it never turns off my refrigerator. Then there are some other settings down below. The main one here is your unit of temperature. You can do Fahrenheit or Celsius. Here is just a short 4.5 second clip of the battery charging. Kind of just sounds like it's revved up, but it's really not too loud, and it's only during the time you have it plugged in to a 110 outlet to charge. I have a 160 watt solar panel. It comes in a protective bag that is also used for a stand to hold the solar panel. One side of the bag is hard, and that's the back portion that holds the solar panel up. You can see how dirty and dusty my solar panel is. It has been through wind and rain and dust. There are two little clips with a carabiner that connect the solar panel to the bag, and then you can adjust the height, and it will stand at any angle that you need to have it at. There are these two little rubber tabs that are in the front, and that allows you to even angle it further. There's those carabiner clips that attach to the solar panel. And these are the cables. They're marked both positive and negative, and they just simply snap into each other. And then it connects to the back of the Delta 2, where the outlet is that I typically use to use my car charger. I just switch that out. And you can see here from the display panel that it is pulling 98 watts of power from my solar. Before we get to how to determine how much power you'll need, please like and subscribe to my channel. It's really helpful for me. I do have affiliate links below to purchase an EcoFlow. You don't have to purchase the Delta 2, but I really appreciate if you do use my affiliate links. I have affiliate links to Amazon. I purchased my Delta 2 and my solar panel at separate times, both through Amazon, but there is a link also to the EcoFlow website directly if you prefer to do it that way. I did find that the EcoFlows are on sale a lot on Amazon, and it really reflects the same prices as the EcoFlow website does. So you're not going to find a better price on one versus the other, but I really appreciate your support. Let's talk about how you determine how big of a battery you need. So the Delta 2 is a 1024 watt hour power bank. What I did to determine the size of power bank that I would need was I wrote down all of the things that I was going to power, how many watts that item would use, and then how many hours I would use that. So for instance, I have this mug that I use to boil water. Now, I don't use this for an hour straight, but if I were to use it for 1 hour, it's rated at 300 watts. So it would pull 300 watts in an hour. So you can make your adjustments based on how long you're going to use things, and you can determine how quickly your battery is going to drain. The Delta 2 has been perfect for me, and I power my refrigerator, I boil water, I power my electronics, so I charge various different things. I have my laptop. I generally try and plug in my laptop when I'm at a coffee shop or whatever, just to save on that power. But it really, I'm not having to find a plug-in to charge all that often. Sometimes I do, and that's fairly easy to find, but it's charging as I'm driving, and that is helpful because anytime I'm driving, I'm charging. Then I have my solar panel, and I'm using that right now. I'm sitting in a park recording videos, so why not have your solar panel out? And then also I can plug it in to any outlet, and it will charge to 80% in 50 minutes. I hope this was informative and helpful to you. Please leave a comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe my channel, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay wild and stay free.